Hello class, this is Demetrius Wilson again. We are now in Chapter 4, Attitudes and Values in Human Relations. Attitude is one of the most important things, one of the most important concepts in regards to human relations and personnel management, getting along with people at home, at school, and also at work. So pay close attention. As always, our learning objectives are define an attitude. So what exactly is an attitude? And not an attitude to say, oh, you have a bad attitude, but you can have a good attitude. Examine what makes a good attitude. Discuss what goes into changing an existing attitude. And find details regarding the link between positive attitudes and job satisfaction. You'll see that people who have good attitudes are typically more satisfied with their job, more happy, more efficient in the workplace than those that are very disgruntled. Define values and show how they differ from attitudes. Explain the origin of your own values and the values of others, and identify strategies for coping with values conflict. Sometimes you may have a conflict within yourself. I don't want to do this, but my manager said I need to, so I think for work-wise I should, but ethically I don't think that this is the right thing to do. And apply values in a global context. So attitude. Attitude is the evaluation of people, ideas, issues, situations, or objects. It's how you evaluate these things. It's made up of thoughts, feelings, and actions, right? So what do you think, how do you feel, and what are your actual actions in regards to how you think and feel? It ranges from positive to negative. That's pretty much the range. Positive attitude, a happy attitude. I would say that I definitely have a good, happy, positive attitude. A lot of times I work with a lot of people that do not. David Meyer's characteristics of happy people, healthy self-esteem. We talked about self-esteem in the earlier chapters, liking and respecting oneself. That's healthy self-esteem, right? You like who you are, you respect yourself, and you do the right thing. Optimism is a trait associated with higher levels of happiness and satisfaction with one's life, right? So you're thinking about the glass as half full, not half empty, right? Oh, hey, it's a half of a glass of orange juice here. I wanted some orange juice, so I'm happy. Not, oh, somebody drank half this glass of orange juice. That sucks. I'm not even going to drink it anyway, right? That's where you get the term half glass empty, half glass full. Attitude, so extroversion, right? So you hear about people who are introverts and extroverts, and it's nothing wrong with being an introvert, but extroversion comes from the word extrovert. So extroversion is characteristic in which a person's behavior is directed to the objects in the external world, right? So an outgoing person, that's likable, that talks to people, not someone, very, very introverted. And a lot of times as a manager, you have to have a certain amount of extroversion, even if that's not natural for you, because you have to talk and deal with people. Not always through instant messenger and not always through emails. Personal control is the power people have over their own destinies. And, we talked about, locus of control and how do I feel that I can control my own destiny. So internal locus of control means believing that one is responsible for one's own situations and life events. That means I, Demetrius Wilson, feel like I have internal locus of control and I determine the destiny of my career and my career path. Now, if you have external locus of control, you just say, hey, you know what? Hey, I just get what the world gives me, and and I react accordingly, and that's just how it goes, right? So internal locus of control is what I want everyone here in this class to have, and I feel like I have a good amount of internal locus of control. Changing existing attitudes, right? Sometimes we know that we need to change our attitude, just like I needed to change my attitude when I told you guys during the last lecture that, I used to be mad when, the people would send me emails and I wouldn't say thank you and things like that. But there was a reason behind it, is because I was overworked, there was no upper management, and everything fell on me. But even though those things were occurring, I still knew that, hey, I should just go ahead and buckle down and still be happy and go on about my business. But changing existing attitudes is not always possible. For change to occur, people with negative attitudes should be shown how destructive their attitudes are, right? And a lot of times this falls on the manager, because the manager really needs to be the one that tells them and shows them and guides them to the right place. A lot of times if you're at the same level as somebody else and you try to do that, and then some unnecessary conflict arises. Feedback is the key. Feedback returning a part of the output to the input, right? So I need to tell you, this is, what your behavior is, and this is how it's destructive to the company and to our department. And striking a balance between negative and positive feedback is important. So you'll talk about the sandwich method. So, and some of your managers have done this to you, and you've probably done this to other people. I do it all the time. So you call somebody in a room and you say, hey, you've been doing really good at this, ABC, but I need for you to work on XYZ. You've still been doing really good on ABC, right? So you sandwich the bad or the negative information in the middle, right? So you talk about something good that they did, then you talk about what you want them to improve, and then you talk about the good again and leave them, going out of the office or out of the room on a good and positive note. You don't just come in the room and say, "Hey, you suck. You've been doing this bad, and I need for you to do it better." Bye, right? Not appropriate. So attitudes and job satisfaction, the degree of satisfaction is based on the extent to which the job and benefits associated with it fulfill an employee's needs, right? So it's all about what your needs are, what you want, what you're looking for in a job and in a position. So the conclusions are when job satisfaction is very high, employees are less likely to be absent for unexcused reasons, right? If your job satisfaction is low, you're going to call in sick. Oh, my stomach hurts. I got a hangnail. It's not sunny outside. You're going to call in sick. Job performance leads to the job satisfaction rather than vice versa, right? So job performance leads to job satisfaction. You're doing well, and then you're going to be satisfied with your job. You're doing terrible, yeah, you're going to be one of those individuals calling in sick even more. Attitude and job satisfaction again, organization, citizenship, behavior, long term, but very concise concept. Attitude of willingness to go beyond behaviors associated with life in the workplace, right? So you want to go above and beyond, important to the productivity of an organization. I want to go above and beyond because my performance is tied to my salary and to my raise at the end of the year, and I'm thinking about that the entire year. So when I if I ever feel like, oh, I want to slack off a little bit, that comes and it taps me on the shoulder and say, hey, Demetrius, you need to be doing what you're supposed to be doing. Changing attitudes, working conditions that help job attitudes. We'll just read over these really quickly. Mentally challenging work with which the individual can cope successfully, right? So this is a key. Personal interest in the work itself. If you don't have any interest, it's gonna get stagnant and stale. Number 3, work that is not too physically tiring. So if you're just absolutely beat, you come home and you just fall out and go to sleep, that's not going to work for a long period of time. Number 4, rewards for performance that are just, right? We want to be fair, informative, and in line with the individual's personal ambitions. Number 5, working conditions that are compatible with the individual's physical needs and help towards the accomplishment of his or her work goals, right? I'm a manager. I'm there to help my staff and my associates. Later on in the book, we'll talk about the inverted pyramid, which is an upside down pyramid in which the manager is there to support the employees. Number 6, high self-esteem on the part of the employee. We talked about positive self-esteem and all things it's linked to, such as good and great job performance and also job satisfaction. And agents in the workplace who help the employee gain job value, such as interesting work, pay, promotions, whose basic values are similar to his or her own, and who keep conflicts to a minimum. So we'll talk about conflicts a little later in the book as well, but we have to keep those conflicts to a minimum. But always remember that all conflict is not necessarily bad. Some conflict is definitely productive, just like some stress is productive. It's a difference between eustress, EU stress, and distress, DIS stress, or DISTRESS, right? Eustress is good stress that you feel in a basketball or football game and brings up your adrenaline. Distress is something that you feel when you're stuck in traffic. Values, that's a worth or importance one attaches to different factors in one's life, right? We all have different values. We all care about different things. And so we have to know and understand ourselves and understand the values of others as well. It can be tangible, intangible, or both, right? So tangible means something you could touch. Intangible, you can't really touch it. A desk would be something, I want a nice desk, right? That's tangible, I can touch it. Value system is a set of standards by which one has chosen to live, right? These are my standards. This is how I'm going to live in the workplace, at home, at school, and everywhere. Corporate culture. So all companies, we're going to watch some videos talking about different corporate cultures, such as Google and Zappos have great company cultures, and people are trying to mirror and mimic these cultures to see if they can be successful just like them. And a corporate culture is a system of shared values throughout a given company or organization. Values versus attitudes. So attitudes are affected by values, right? Values conflicts with other people involve attitude problems, right? Typically, when people have a conflict, it's because their attitudes don't really mesh together. They butt heads, or their attitudes are just the same. Two people with bad attitudes are always going to end up arguing. Values are deeper and more important of part of everyone's lives than attitudes, right? So your values is what you truly believe in. I truly believe ethically that I shouldn't do this, and it's not just a attitude that you would have that may be here today and gone tomorrow. Where your values come from. So your personal values formed in early childhood. You don't just jump up as an adult and say, oh, these are my values. They're affected by parents' values and the environment, right? So you be around your parents, your environment at home, school, outside when you play. Those things are going to affect your values. Value pattern related to work and home life. Nature of a person's paid job is more significant. Leisure time is more valued, right? I got to have my vacation time, and I actually definitely say that everyone should take a week vacation and go somewhere. It's invigorating, it gives you energy, it helps you out the entire year. Americans now insist strongly that jobs be less impersonal and more humane, right? Maybe not so much in China, but here in the United States, it's like we need the people factor, right? We need some more touchy-feely, lovey, dovey managers to come over and say, oh, how's your day going, and things of that nature. Factors that affect values, religion, and also political views, both of which you should not talk about in the workplace, just as a FYI. Where your values come from, socioeconomic class, right? Depends on where you grew up. You're a product of your environment. We all are. That doesn't mean you can't step out and learn and grow something and be into something new and different, which I definitely have. But we're a product of our environment, and we see certain things early on, and those are things that kind of get stuck in our mind. Exposure to education, television, the internet, and other mass media. I mean, these kids today, they have phones so early, they're on the internet so early. I mean, they're just exposed to so much so early. Categories of values. So two different categories. So you have terminal values. So you see it's endpoint ideal values, likely to maintain a high priority throughout your life, right? So when you hear terminal, that means to the end of life or to the end. This is types of values that you're always going to have, and they're related to long-term goals that can be accomplished. So, and just before we go into instrumental values, remember objectives are short-term. That's like a sprint. Goals are long-term. That's like a marathon. Instrumental values or everyday action directed attitudes reflect the ways in which one prefers to behave. So it's based on one's actions and attitudes, right? Those are your everyday things. Like, I want to be an upstanding individual. A terminal value would be like that I want to live comfortably and without conflict throughout my lifetime. Instrumental value would be, I want to be ethical in my business dealings on a daily basis. Social factors of a generation. So you'll be able to check that out in your, in your book. I won't go over all of it. Well, actually, I'll go over a couple, just for the sake of time. But so areas of change. So mass media. So pre-baby boomers from 1920 to 45, you have radio networks and Bob Hope. Baby boomers, you have television and George Carlin. Gen X, Y, and beyond, born 1965 to 1980s, and all the rest of you guys, you have the internet, Jim Carrey, and Chris Rock. So it's interesting. Just take a look at that. See the areas of change are mass media and comedians, wars and disasters, new technology, who are the villains, musical choices, and the fears as well. It's a pretty good chart. So values conflict occur when one set of values clashes with another, and a decision has to be made. I don't like to steal, but if I steal and give this food to this person who really needs it, is it a bad thing, right? So you don't want the person to starve, but you also don't want to steal. It's a values conflict, right? It's inside yourself. It's an interpersonal values conflict occurs when people from different backgrounds with different values systems have to work together. So now you have these people from different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different cultures, and now they have to work together. Those are interpersonal values conflicts. Personal versus group values, a clash between an individual and a group, right? I have that all the time, because I manage a department, so things that I do may not be in the best interest of other departments, and they're going to let me know about it. And sometimes there's definitely conflict, and it's always not bad conflict. Organization culture works against an individual's values. So the last two, you'll check those out on your own. Values conflict, be sure to look up cognitive dissonance, and also values in an international economy. As always, have a good day and a great week.